You know, I really, you know, I don't like to glorify the situation or talk about it too much, obviously, because, but I'm just giving you the background on how it happened. But, you know, I'm not trying to sit here and be like, yeah, my record was something.
But
you know,
it's the reconciliation. I mean, the Boston show, you bring him out. Like, a lot has happened after that battle, right? Yeah. I mean, you could do a whole 30 for 30 on that that battle, right? But
well, yeah, I mean, by the way, you know, also these things go to another place, right? So, you know, one thing I could tell you firsthand is like, you know, Meek's not a pretender. He's not a joker. He's not like beefing with some of these other rap guys where it's like their story's all made up and they're really not, their character's not like that. Meek's really about that. And so, you know, and I can tell you firsthand, straight up, you know, I'm not gonna, you know, I know obviously he's made a change in his life, but I'll be the first to tell you that. Meek's that guy for real. So it's like, I wasn't beefing with no punk, you know? And it's like, yeah, for us to be able to turn that around was a big thing. I think we both felt an obligation just to everybody that had eyes on us, all these young kids. We had to turn that around because we know how far it was going, and almost went, you know. So
we talk about reconciliation. You obviously have Chris, Meek, Tory, Puff to an extent, you know, and things have been exasperated by Pusha. At this point in your career, in your life, do you think you could ever squash things or mend things with him?
Well, you know, I'm at a great healing place in my life, which is why all those people you mentioned, that I really never, when I really break down the issues, when I started to sort of stop thinking from such a confrontational, paranoid, violent standpoint, I started to just really break down what's our issue again? What is this over again? Like, it's over a fight we had in like 2009, or it's over you know, it's over the fact that we're from the same city, or it's over, you know, I was able to, you know, to mend a lot of those situations. A lot of people ask me like, yo, why? Like, why are you doing this? Why would you do it? And I wanted my closest friends to know that it's for me, you know? It's got a lot to do with me. It's not a fun life when you're like just in a lot of beefs with people. You know, you gotta check on who's gonna be at an event. You start moving different. You start, you know, I was changing as a person, becoming a guy that was, you know, definitely willing to do some terrible things, definitely moving with a different energy. And, you know, like I said, it's just not a fun life when you have to just look over your shoulder all the time. Or wonder, you know, all right, if this goes left, which one of my friends is gonna go sit for 2, 3, 4, 10 years? You know what? Like, it's just not. It's not a good way to live. In that particular situation that you're talking about, don't know. I have no desire to ever mend anything with that person, and yeah, that situation just went. You know, it just went where it went, and it's just there is no turning back. It's not like those other situations that you mentioned.
Did Pusha go too far by revealing the child and presenting that to the world?
Well, I'll say this: I tip my hat to the chess move. I mean, it was a genius play in the game of chess, and definitely, you know, warranted my first quote unquote, you know, loss in the competitive sport of rapping. By choice, obviously, because I bowed out after realizing like the gap between us allowed him to drop, you know, a bomb on the world that really became, that was all anyone cared about. You know, I sleep well at night knowing I didn't get outbarred and I didn't get, you know, dunned off by some crazy song it was just, you know, he told the world that the biggest artist at the time has a kid that he hasn't told you about. So I knew kind of for me it was over at that point. It wasn't even about battle rap or any of that. It was just the information was too shocking. It was, like I said, on his part, it was a genius chess move. He obviously has no, like, you know, when it comes to me, he's not gonna have any like morals or respect. So the other elements of the record, whether it be like just like the shit that he's making up about like, my mom and my dad and all this like dumb shit, or you know, obviously the part that hit me the most, which is like, you know, wishing like that my friend that has an illness like dies. Like that shit to me is just not really wavy. Like I'm just not really with that. Like, and when I did say, oh, there's rules to this, I didn't mean there's rules that anybody has to follow, but like in battle rap, you know, they just headshotted that guy the other day because he was on stage and he pulled out a picture of the guy's dead aunt and started rapping about, you know, that type of shit. And it just is what it is. There's a point where you're gonna wanna stop rapping. I'm sure I could say something about, you know, your lovely lady or, you know, a child or a family member, and you're just gonna wanna not really rap anymore. So that's just kind of where I got to. I just had to admit, like, yo, I'm really, you know, and when I was making the record in Response, which was a real record, I know people think it's like some myth. It was like on this Vinyls beat, and I just found myself saying things that, like, one seemed really out of character, just because I was like deeply invested in the situation and getting very angry, and saying things that I don't know if in 2 years I'd want to hear myself say, and yeah, I just realized that, like, nobody cares about this guy, so there's not really much I can say better than Drake Has a Baby. He won, you know, he won off that bomb, you know, and so again, you know, it's a dub that, like, you know, he could take it.
Was that true that you wanted to reveal the child with Adidas campaign and things like that? Or?
I had at the time I was working with Adidas, and we were toying with the idea of a name being a play off of a name, off of my son's name. I wasn't revealing my son with Adidas, or like I wasn't gonna have my son like in the fucking
right.
But yeah, no, I was just, you know, to be honest with you, I actually did a DNA test for my son, and they came back to us and they said that the DNA test got ruined in transit, and that they couldn't be 100% sure that that was my son or not. So I was in a really weird pending situation where I didn't want to go tell the world that that was my son, and it wasn't. So, and if you see my son, you understand why.
I'm mad. Here's the thing. You went in the shop. You showed everybody a picture. B.I. said he seen the picture.
You showed it to me.
I thought we were cool, Drake.
Yeah,
I gotta see a picture.
But yeah, no, if you see my boy, you'll understand. Like, you know, at the time I was like, I mean, he's just a stunning child, you know, with the brightest blue eyes. And at the time I was like, I don't know. But, you know, it actually wasn't until a week before the album came out that I got confirmation that was definitely my son. It took me 2 more solid tests with 2 different companies. So, yeah, I mean, again, I wasn't like all the details of his record are all just like fabricated, so just to make it more interesting. The story is actually not really that interesting. The biggest part of it is that I have a son. But it wasn't like, oh, I'm hiding him and I still, by the way, I still won't post my son because the world's fucking crazy, man.
Right.
And like, you know, I'm in a co-parenting situation. Anybody that's in a co-parenting situation understands that you have to split time between 2 locations, so I can't always be there to make sure he's good. The last thing I want to do is have people running around going crazy trying to get my son and do all the crazy shit that they do to me here, showing up outside and with, you know, voodoo dolls and naked pictures.
But do you feel like maybe you kind of crossed the line?
That did happen the other day, bro.
Oh my goodness.
Somebody did pull up with some nudes.
What of you or so?
No, of me. No, like of them.
Oh.
No, they pulled up with like some nudes and we had to burn them in the backyard.
Oh my goodness.
I felt the like Obia energy.
It's like a seance. But do you feel like you crossed the line when you talking about Pusha? You mentioned his woman, you know, the Duppy freestyle, like.
He has a point. He can say, yo, you brought up my lady's name. Oh, all bets are off the table. That's fine. You know, like I said, we all think differently, right? And even like, you know, even in the me and Meek situation, if you listen back to those records, and it's something that we've talked about before too, if you listen back, it's, you know, we didn't really go that crazy on each other. And we left Nick out of it, and we left kind of family out of it for the most part. Like, it's
both
just
knew each other, more stuff about each other that you didn't go to also.
It's, well, whether there was information that didn't get revealed or not, the point is like, there's just some unwritten rules in the sport for some people, obviously not for him, and that's fine, you know? And he's just made an entire career off of it, you know? And some people like his music. I personally don't, because I don't believe any of it. And I like to listen to guys that I believe.
But you were a Clips fan. You had the sign mic and all that stuff. So how was that to have that?
I still have it upstairs.
Idols become your rivals.